One of the defining characteristics of the human race is that of our mass delusionality. I feel like in general, we really do try to do the best with what we have. But what we have is often a distorted view of the world and those that live inside it. One of the biggest delusions we suffer from is our obsession with individuality. I've seen this chalked up before to a lot of early Western philosophers and their emphasis on the individual self. But I do think this runs a little deeper than a few old guys and what their books taught us. I think it goes even to the core of what it means to be human. One of the deepest fears of the human race is the fear of losing our individuality. Because of this, we put a lot of emphasis on self-expression, self-care, and self-aggrandizement. The irony of this, though, is that by putting emphasis on the self, we often end up losing the self entirely. Ancient Taoist philosophy does not subscribe to this idea of emphasized individuality. Chapter 13 of the Tao Te Ching says, "Why are honor and great pain bound up together? I'm bound to be in pain because I care about myself. If I did not care about myself, what pain could I suffer?" Now, I don't think we take this to mean that we should tip to the other end of the scale, which is self-deprecation. Rather, Taoism teaches us not to be so concerned with the distinction between self and other. Taoism, like many other Eastern philosophies, teaches that we are part of the universal collective consciousness, that we are one with all things and all people. This is universal perspective, but we run into some roadblocks when we try to see the world this way. One of the obstacles to doing this is our desire for independence. For some reason, we seem to get so caught up with the idea of self-sufficiency. We want to be islands unto ourselves, with no need to rely on others in order to meet our needs. Now, of course, we should not rely on other people and their choices in order to make us happy, but the idea of not needing other people is just foolishness. The human race is an inherently social species. One of the only reasons humans have survived as long as they have is because of their ability to cooperate with each other. But on a broader scale, the idea of independence is just fundamentally flawed in general. I mean, think about it. In order to stay alive, we have to eat things that either were living organisms at one time or came from living organisms every single day. Without predating on these other organisms, we would die. Even a plant-based diet requires us to kill or take nutrients from other living things. The clothes we wear, the shelters we make, in short, everything that allows us to live, is provided to us by beings and forces outside of our concept of self, whom we can neither control nor pay back. One of the primary ways we try to strive for independence is by making our relationships transactional. We tell ourselves that if we can pay for something, then we got it ourselves by our own power. But we cannot possibly compensate everyone and everything for even our most basic consumptions. From the second we were born until the day we die, we are eternal debtors, living on a debt that can never be paid. I don't think we should feel guilty about this, because there's literally no other way to live. But I do think it's worth understanding this concept. Understanding this helps us to realize how silly it is to think of ourselves as independent individuals, who need not concern ourselves with anything other than meeting our own needs. We covered the idea of selflessness and doing good pretty extensively in the Tao Te Ching series, and if you want a refresher about that, I recommend chapters 13 and 38 part 1. Because this doesn't mean that we turn ourselves into martyrs either. There are good, better, and best ways of contributing to the world. For today, I really just wanted to focus on challenging this illusion that we are beings unto ourselves. If you have any thoughts about this, you're welcome to leave them in the comments or come into the Discord to discuss them. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace and blessings.